I will take questions now. Vinod, can we have some questions if there are any? I think you're on mute, Vinod.
So I think there are a couple of questions, mostly from people whom we know. So I think Aman is asking about indexing in Google. I think it's good that we also talk about indexing a bit.
Yeah.
What impacts indexing and what are the ways in which to get indexed?
Yeah. So first is getting discovered, and then second aspect too is getting indexed. Getting discovered is something controlled by your technology, by your internal linking, by your sitemap. Uh, so basically, ensuring that Google understand about your web page is something. A lot of time we see crawled status. So crawl means Google know about this page. Crawled and index or crawled and not index is something defined by Google based on multiple factors. That could be based on your domain authority, that could be based on your page content, that could be based on your robots, whether you are blocking that page, that could be based on an alternate page is available for that indexing. So indexing is something totally controlled by Google. Crawling is something controlled by technology.
So another question, I think someone called Hindi Patel is asking. I think the assumption is, yeah, we need to have all posts in core Google Core Web Vitals in pass mode. And second question he's asking is how to improve CLS speed, CLS score.
Yeah, I have explained that in detail in the session, but let me rephrase. So there are multiple tools to test your core web vitals. End of day, we are building website for users. The actual user core web vitals are the one which are listed in your webmaster. If you go check your web speed using page speed inside or any other tool, understand all these testing tools are sitting outside India. They will have a different score compared to your webmaster. You should improve your webmaster core web vitals. I have explained how you can improve CLS. So if you should not have a layout shift, to avoid layout shift, if you're expecting a space to be taken by an ad or a font, or basically title or any component which is going to come a little late, give predefined space for that component so that the other component which are visible in the web page are not shifting. So if I'm assuming that I am putting an ad above the fold 300 into 250, I should ideally predefine that ad space height and width so that my other component on the page does not shift when that ad actually loads. So CLS can be improved that way. LCP can be improved using your CDN, by using smaller images, by using lesser fonts. There are multiple factors which contribute to your LCP, and obviously the server response time as well. Next question,
Next is Shubham is asking what is the effect of preload or preconnect on DOM load.
Okay, I am getting a bit technical on this now because it's a question from a techie. Uh, so understand, when we hit an URL and as soon as we receive the response from the server, the browser start rendering the page from top to bottom. So the first thing it gets, and if you see any web page response, the first thing you will see a meta called title. That means as soon as you get the response, that is the first thing get included in the DOM, and you start seeing your tab title change. So if we do pre-rendering or pre-connect, right? What it will happen is whenever there's resource encountered, suppose I'm displaying a title in the body. Now title needs certain fonts, title needs certain CSS to be rendered. If I include those CSS upfront, it may so happen that by the time I encountered a title, those resources are already loaded, and I can avoid that loading time because browser, when rendering from top to bottom, it will take few milliseconds. We can avoid those few milliseconds. I'll also want to point out from a technical aspects that Chrome generally, earlier can maximum do 6 parallel requests with 14 KB sizes. So if I'm having lot of resource assets or a lot of resources that are bigger in size, Chrome may take 4 to 5 round trips to download that resource, which may delay 300 millisecond, 400 millisecond the rendering of it. I can avoid that rendering of 400 milliseconds by including in top of header if I know this is required. So pre-rendering or pre-connect helps that way.
Yeah, to add to that point, I think pre-rendering also removes critical path. It reduces the critical path for your LCP and other things.
right?
So it
Because as you
impacts a lot in LCP metrics.
yeah.
Okay. Azad Rati, how much time it will take to index news articles?
uh, very difficult question to answer. Crawling is something you control. How much time it gets to crawl your article is depends on how frequently Google is visiting your website. As soon as visiting website, if your crawl budget is reduced, your website will be crawled. Crawled means is available with Google. Whether Google shows in your index or not index depends on multiple factors which Google control, not your controlled by you. So a good website with good ranking platform generally get indexed in 2 to 3 minutes. Few websites takes days also.
Yep. So I think that's all questions, Ash. Uh, Yeah, I
All
think it
right.
was a wonderful session. I think you shared a lot of insights from Hocalwire's perspective, also how we approach tech, and I think you elaborated on a lot of important points. I think it would have been a very wonderful session covering both technical as well as the content aspects of SEO.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was quite important to explain the publishers that how tech works. There are hundreds of things goes into tech, and that gives them confidence on how things should be done. All right, thank you guys. Thank you for joining the session. See you in our next session soon. Thank you so much. Thank you, Vinod.